Alright, so I'm at the range with the HK USC. There's a steel target at the 100 and a steel target at the 50. Let's see if we can ring steel at 50 yards. Gonna use the peep aperture sight rather than the notch. First shots, let's see how it goes.
Hello, I'm Ant and welcome to my first video on the channel. My first series that I'm going to do is on the HK USC. The HK USC is a semi-automatic carbine manufactured by Heckler & Koch. It is chambered in the .45 automatic cartridge and is a civilian version of the UMP. So my plan for this series is to document my ownership of the HK USC, including my time having it converted to a UMP. I've been looking into this carbine for quite a while now and I have a lot of questions regarding it. Unfortunately, it seems I only come up with more questions than answers when I went looking. That is why I'm going to document things that I have found noteworthy, so you'll know what you're getting. The HK USC came with a rifle bag, 2 10-round magazines, a HK branded disassembly tool, a plastic bag containing a gun lock, HK sticker, and the operator's manual. I've heard of some people on Reddit and here on YouTube not getting a disassembly tool with their USC. I'm not sure if I am lucky that I got one, or if they are unlucky that they did not, but it's something to note. The magazines are single stack and made out of polymer. They seem fairly sturdy, but I am a little worried about the feed lips on them, because those are also made out of polymer, but I imagine they'll be fine if they land on the base plate or the body during a mag change. I have noticed that with some magazines there can be a lack of follower retention, but I have not had an issue with the magazine not feeding the cartridge or locking the bolt to the rear on an empty magazine. I do not know exactly why this is a thing, but I suspect that it's the follower rubbing on the body of the magazine. I now have 7 of the HK branded mags, and probably 2 or 3 out of the 7 have had the problems originally. But it only affects loading of the magazines, because the round on top could fall out, and it's led to me having to load the magazines with the primer facing down so they stay in the mag. But after firing a fully loaded magazine or 2, the issue seems to have worked itself out. That's why I suspect it's the follower rubbing on the body, because it wears itself in. The magazines are expensive. The cheapest I have found online for proper HK mags is around $50. But if you look on Reddit, you may find someone who's willing to part with them for a little bit cheaper than that after they've done the UMP conversion themselves. There's also the option of Pro Mag, but I do not have any of those, so I do not want to speak of how they perform in quality. But I do want to make a video on those eventually, but that will be a top subject for a later video. Now let's talk a little bit about the rifle itself. According to the manual, the HK USC weighs around 6 pounds, is 35.5 inches long, and is just shy of 10 inches tall with a standard magazine inserted. The HK USC comes with an interesting set of sights. A hooded front sight made out of polymer, and the rear sight has both a notch and peep style option. There's a hook on the right side of the receiver that keeps the charging handle locked into the front of the receiver when the bolt is locked open. That brings us to the bolt catch. It looks like a ping pong paddle and is easy to hit when reloading the USC.
I'm going to try it now with
the magazine catch is of the paddle variety, not unlike the HK MP5 or a AK style of firearm. The safety lever on the HK USC is ambidextrous. I find it a little tricky to manipulate the safety on and off, but I imagine with some more practice it'll become easier. The best way that I have found is to use your thumb to disengage the safety lever, then use your finger to re-engage it. The trigger is present. It is not horrible but not good, but HK firearms are not well known for their triggers anyhow, so that's consistent with expectations. The stock is a fixed thumb hole type, and on it are 2 screws required for disassembly. The screws lock into the receiver. The sling that you see on it is some cheap one that I got from a local gun store. I think it's Blackhawk brand. I took some Ozark Trail paracord I had kicking around, and I threaded it through the loops, tied it off, then burnt it to make some sling loops. I did this because I felt weird about the metal hooks rubbing on the plastic. It would probably be fine, and the parts that rub on are replaceable. but I figured I had it lying around anyways, and I was bored, so I figured might as well make some sling loops. As of the time of this recording, I have fired around 250 rounds with the USC. I am definitely planning on shooting more through it and making more videos as I gather more information. All the rounds I've fired have been good, no malfunctions of any kind. The only thing that I have to note is the roll pin that holds the front sight walks out ever so slightly to the left after shooting for a little bit. This has happened to me twice, and each time I've tapped it back into place with a nylon hammer. I will be keeping an eye on this and update the video if there's an issue. But so far, the roll pin is tapped right back into place with no further issues. The rifle did not come with any rails, however the operator manuals listed side rails on the parts diagram, so I went hunting. First I looked at the HK web store, but all I could find was a top rail for mounting optics for like $20 before shipping. So I contacted HK's customer service to inquire about getting proper HK rails, and come to find out that the side rails of the UMP and USC are the same ones for the MP7. So when they're imported from Germany, they all go to the defense side of HK USA, going to like police departments and I imagine other people who are a lot cooler and more interested than me. The customer service representative stated that they could request an order for them, but the price would be around $80 a rail for a total of $240 for the 3 of the handguard rails, not include the top rail receiver. The customer service rep recommended HK parts and a third-party manufacturer for the rails, but I can't recall what manufacturer it was, but if I remember, I'll put it in the description box. I also looked into other USC UMP rail options and found 3 main options. The Omega Shadow rail set for around $100 before shipping, the HK parts rail set for around $150 again before shipping, and the Homeland Defense Police Supply Corp rail set. I personally got the HDPS rails, and it cost me just under $150 after shipping. I emailed Atlantic Firearms to see what the Omega rail set was made out of, because it was not listed on the website. It is made out of polymer, which I'm sure is fine, but I wanted metal just so because I would feel a little bit better about an optic holding 0. I went with the HDPS rails for a couple of reasons. One, they make the stock block for one of the 2 ways to convert a USC to a UMP, and I figured if they do that, they should be able to make a set of rails. 2, they were cheaper than the HK parts rails. 3, I read some good reviews about them on Reddit and on the HK Pro forums. The only complaint that I have about these rails is that the screws strip easily, so to make sure they use the right size screwdriver bit to install them. I noticed that the rails on the handguard came slightly loose, but that might be due to my own incompetence for not tightening them down enough before I mounted all of my accessories to it. Speaking of handguards, let's go over what I have on the handguard. I have a Magpul vertical foregrip on the with a Magpul rail cover on the bottom of the gun, a Streamlight Pro Tack on the right hand side, and the pressure switch on the left hand side. Everything snapped right on as it should, with the exception of the pressure switch itself. The rubber piece that holds the pressure switch was spaced out enough to get one side of the switch in, but not the other. I fixed this by taking my multi-tool and shaving a little bit of the rubber off one of the pieces to be able to slide the switch in. It works good, I just have to resecure it every now and then because the switch can slide slightly out, so I have to keep an eye on that. I'll probably take a piece of electrical tape eventually and just wrap it around it. Cable management is kind of wonky, but I was able to get it pretty snug to the rifle by running it under the Picatinny rail on the right hand side to make sure it doesn't get snagged or anything. I am a little worried about the wires on the flashlight, but I imagine they'll be okay, and worst comes to worst, I'll just buy another pressure switch, so probably, maybe one that's smaller. I will post updates on the channel as I go along my journey on the HK USC. Please subscribe if you'd like to hear any updates that I post, or any other videos I post here on the channel. And drop a like if you enjoy the video. Thank you. Please leave comments as well. I will try to reply to everyone that is posted. Thank you very much for watching, and have a nice day.